Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. It's now time to take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. The Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, has given the condition under which drivers can make use of Google Maps. Boboye Oyeyemi, FRSC Corps Marshal, gave the condition at a press conference in Abuja on Wednesday. He said the only condition road users could use Google Maps is with the aid of car-holding phone devices, adding that anyone caught holding their phone while using the map will be arrested and prosecuted. Oyeyemi also said the organization would work with the Nigeria Police Force to ensure those abusing sirens and convoys are prosecuted accordingly and their vehicles impounded. He said most abusers of convoys and sirens are not government officials, but mainly private individuals who are unauthorized to use them. The Corps Marshal added that at least 690 offenders were prosecuted, while 629 others were convicted by the FRSC mobile court during the end-of-year patrol. So there's FRSC hitting the ground running this new year and really laying down the law. I'm fully with them this time. It is dangerous to hold a phone in one hand, trying to look at a map while driving with another. It can get somebody killed, yourself or somebody else. And also this practice where anybody who has some change can just go and get themselves a sort of a Hilux and just fill it with the police and start blaring a siren with no authorization is completely lawless. So I think the FRSC is starting off the year on a good note. We do need to sanitize our roads. They were lampooned last year when the initial news came out that Google Maps was banned. Everybody thought, oh, how backward, how ridiculous. So now they're clarifying it, that it's not an outright ban, but just to be used cautiously with safety in mind.
Well, I think the Federal Road Safety Commission is responding a little too late, even if it looks like a good initiative to always engage motorists and to offer useful explanations as to traffic regulations and guidelines. You will recall that towards the end of last year, there was a particularly controversial and notorious incident involving a lady called Mary Ikoku, who has been on this program more than twice. And the incident was about her using Google Maps. And she had had an issue with the Federal Road Safety Commission. Every effort at the time to get officials of the Federal Road Safety Commission either to appear on this program or to respond publicly to the allegations raised by the lady in terms of the conduct of Federal Road Safety officials or, the basis of arrest and intimidation and harassment was rebuffed by the FRSC. So what they have tried to do, in my view, is that early in the year now, they are trying to address that particular issue. Because the issue with regard to Mary Ikoku was whether or not she was using Google Maps or not. And, the details are out there, in the recorded interview that we had with her. But however, it is good that this clarification has now come to say that, yes, you can use Google Maps. Because at that time, the impression was created that you can't even use Google Maps at all. Once you are driving, just be robotic. But they now say you must have a car-holding device, which is the standard practice elsewhere in the world. So I think people will note this and realize that, yes, you can use Google Maps in Nigeria. It's not as if this is some kind of antediluvian space where the Federal Road Safety Commission does not know the best practice elsewhere. Secondly, I think that it's also a good point about the use of convoys and sirens. All kinds of charlatans, procure policemen, they hire policemen. Since this is a country where you can hire a policeman for a fee and then pretend to be important people, VIPs, almost everybody pretends to be a very important person if they have the opportunity to do so. And the only way they demonstrate that is to disturb other motorists and even all of us, other Nigerians, by assuming a status that, they do not, they have not earned. But I hope that with regard to these persons who use convoys and sirens, that the Federal Road Safety Commission and the police will be assertive, because these are persons of influence who push their influence onto the routes of Nigeria. There is a law in place identifying categories of persons who can use convoys and sirens, but this has been observed more in the breach. The third point that the Federal Road Safety Commission of Nigeria needs to pay attention to is the attitude of its officials. We have had cases of all kinds of uniformed persons in this country abusing their uniform, using the uniform to intimidate people, to harass people. The FRSC talks about psychiatric examination for motorists, for Nigerians who breach rules. Maybe you should also begin to look at the direction of psychiatric examination for some of his own officials. Ouch. One more thing that I think that the FRSC also needs to look at is this point about speed limits. FRSC started talking about that more than a year ago, prescribing speed limits for Nigerians, either within the municipal roads or interstate highways. And they've not done this. I don't know what is delaying them. I think they need to do it, because oftentimes when you get on Nigerian roads, you see that the way people drive, the way people violate traffic regulations and signs, there must be something wrong with a lot of people who incidentally have driving licenses, but who by their conduct look like they have mental issues. So there must be proper signs, indicating speed limits, and there must be an attempt by FRSC to check the abuse of speed limits. FRSC recently, before the Yuletide season, began to test people for alcohol consumption. But the concern that has been raised about that is about health concerns, because it seems that they use the same kit to test everybody. That could be a way of creating an epidemic in terms of communicable diseases. They need to take a second look at that. So that's the feedback for FRSC.
But just a second, sorry, Leila, before you continue. My recollection of our chat with Mary Koku differs slightly. I recall her not indicting the FRSC, but the conduct of one particular person. She commended most of the other officials. It's really one person that completely traumatized her with his heavy-handedness. And she also had no issue with the ban on Google Maps when you're holding the phone in your hand. Her issue with that individual was that he did not even attempt to listen to the fact that she had started her journey using Google Maps. It's not like she just picked up her phone in the middle. So he is the one who failed to apply the FRSC policy. I may have cited that
example, but I'm talking generally in terms also of my own personal experience and observation about the behavior of federal road safety officials. Yeah. So in that particular case, you can only report your own personal encounter, but I'm reporting an observation of the trend that I have seen. And I think that they need to pay attention also in terms of training, to their own officials who are beginning to behave badly like the police.
But speaking of personal encounters as well, it's great that this came up in the news, because just yesterday when I was driving to work, the lights that were going off on the Hilux behind me was so strong that I was like, if anyone had epilepsy, this could literally send them crashing off the road. And it wasn't even the blue and red lights. It was literally white lights flashing. And I'm like, the fact that people can get away with this on our roads now is absolutely absurd. So it's good that they're taking control of that, and it's good that they're it's good that they're talking about the sirens, but I think they also need to talk about the lights as well, because now anyone can go to their mechanic and just chuck lights on their car. That's great. As for Google Maps, I completely agree. I mean, I think it has come quite late, because this issue did come up quite a while ago and they should have addressed it. But it's good that they have come out to clarify, because even I was like, did they? Yeah. This is actually my first time hearing of it, but it's good to know that they did come out before this.
Yes, as long as you're not holding the phone in your hand. That has been said before, because really they were lampooned completely last year for their archaic approach to technology. They had some kind of a statement. I can't recall the wording, but it was basically along the same lines of as long as you're not holding the phone in your hand while driving.
On a lighter note, Google Maps has a Nigerian voice now for like the past 3 months.
Oh,
finally.
Really?
Yes, it does.
Nice.
Nigerian voice.
Yes. Like
an accent.
No, accent. Nigerian accent. Like they've changed the voice. Before it was the standard Google bot voice.
Yeah, who couldn't even pronounce street names and what have you.
Exactly. So now they've actually changed it to a Nigerian woman.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes.
Okay, so let's just take a story quickly before we go to the break. It appears that a face-off is brewing between the presidency and the Christian Association of Nigeria. A day after the presidency cautioned the association against religious politicization and rascality in whatever form. CAN said it will not keep quiet over the increasing insecurity in the country. It called on the federal government to wake up to its primary responsibility of protecting lives and property. In a statement, CAN President Samson Ayonkule said criminals are targeting predominant Christian communities, killing and abducting the people with or without resistance from the security agency in an unprecedented manner. Quite a grievous accusation there, but we'll take a short break and we'll be back with more news headlines. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Now, as we were saying before the break, this accusation leveled at the federal government by CAN. To continue on that, the reaction from CAN is coming on the heels of a statement by the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto, Matthew Kukah, who likened the Nigerian government to jihadist terrorist organization Boko Haram. He's also accused the federal government of using different methods to achieve the same goal of Islamic dominance like the sect. Kukah said Nigerian government is using the levers of power to secure the supremacy of Islam, which, according to him, gives more weight to the idea that it can be achieved by force. He said the Nigerian government, by assigning key government positions to hardline Muslims, has indirectly given approval to such groups. In Kukah's opinion, the only difference between the federal government and the jihadist terrorist organization is that the sect makes use of bombs to achieve their aims. Wow.
Wow.
Well, I think the point must be established that the right of the Christian Association of Nigeria to express itself, to enjoy the freedom of speech, must be respected by the Nigerian authorities. In recent times, we've had undue, unnecessary, unwarranted, tit for tat between government spokespersons and officials of the Jama'atu Nasrul Islam, the umbrella organization for Muslims in Nigeria, and the Christian Association of Nigeria, over questions of religious freedom, particularly against the background of the classification by the United States Department of State of Nigeria as a country of special interest with regard to religious freedom. Now, the Christian Association of Nigeria was emboldened by that report by the Department of State, and also by the fact that we had on Christmas Eve the assassination of 11 Christians from Nigeria in retaliation for the U.S. assassination of the leader of the Islamic State, al-Baghdadi. So you then find Christian leaders, not just under the umbrella of the Christian Association of Nigeria, but concerned individuals like Father Bishop Matthew Hassan Kukah, saying that, look, there is a crisis in terms of the freedom for Christians in Nigeria. I think what is important is for government to take a look at this, both the concerns expressed by the United States and also by stakeholders in Nigeria, and to see how the space can be further expanded, not just for Christians alone or Muslims, but also even for atheists or pagans, people who don't believe in anything, because the whole point, the whole spirit of Section 35 of the Nigerian Constitution is that everybody can have access to the freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, and that should cover everybody. So this harassment of persons for saying Christians are being intimidated, I don't think is good for the polity. And we have an interreligious council, which has both Muslim and Christian leaders. That council for religious understanding and tolerance needs to do a lot more, because the whole point is about tolerance. It's about, freedom to express yourself, to believe in whatever you want to believe in.
Yes, it's all right.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. Let's head over to Aaron, who is here to discuss some sports. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning.
What's the news?
Good morning. Aaron, good morning.
Doctor, good morning. I'm not going to say anything so that you don't...
What do you want to say?
No, I'll resume my comments.
Chandra and I we're combining votes today. Yesterday it was red.
Last year I was never getting the memo. This year I am not getting the memo.
It's because you're not a bad. What can we do?
I don't know what to do
All
anymore.
right. Let's start it off this morning with one of the most iconic boxers out of Africa, talking about Bashali. And this time around, the Minister of Youth and Sports Development has refused issuing any presidential endorsement to the former world cruiserweight champion Bashali for his planned Guinness record fight. In a letter sent to Ali through the Sports Ministry's legal department and also made available to The Guardian, advised the boxer to desist from peddling false claims about a non-existent approval from the ministry for the office to embark on a world fight. It added that no such approval was given by the president, contrary to claims by Bashali that the endorsement was being conveyed to him by the office of the minister, and that the boxer should keep to the facts only.
What is going on? Because Bashali has been trying to put on this fight and get into the Guinness Book of Records for being the oldest fighter, what have you. Yes. Why is the government not supporting him?
It's been a circus, to say the least, because he's gone through several ministers. The most prominent, he thought it would happen under the former Minister of Youth and Sports, Barrister Solomon Dalong. It didn't happen. As a matter of fact, it even became very feisty, where the minister took him to court for bashing into his office and raining insults to him.
Yes, and he was escorted out when that happened.
No, they say he claimed that he was assaulted, beaten, and hospitalized. Although he was actually taken to prison, or rather, he was actually arrested and actually later on bailed. But it's still been back and forth, and different people have different opinions about this particular fight by Bashali. He's not the youngest of boxers. He's not been in the ring for
63.
Yeah, 63, going 64 right now, and he's not been in the ring for well over 16 years, and people even fear for his life. But nevertheless, there are claims that the local organizing committee of the Bashali fight says that they can make over $1 billion, 165 billion naira if that fight.
179 million naira
179.
to be specific.
Yes.
$500 million.
If it happens in Nigeria.
But the truth of the matter is that, look, Bashali, yes, he's 63. He made his name when he won the IBF Cruiserweight World Championship, and he was once upon a time a hero of boxing in Nigeria. But then, of course, over the years, we have seen Bashali struggling for recognition, struggling for relevance. There are some people who are also saying that he wants the Guinness, world record of being the oldest man in the world to step into the ring, also to address his own economic challenges. But the truth of the matter is that he had also approached not just the Nigerian authorities, but also the International Boxing Union. Mm-hmm. And the International Boxing Union has no objection to his plan to be the oldest man ever to get into the boxing ring. But they give him a deadline of June 2019. Mm-hmm. That deadline has already expired. And the reason this has not happened is that he has not, received the necessary support from Nigeria. Now, previous ministers, including Dagogo, I think Dagogo, and after Dagogo, Solomon Dalong, they supported him, initially. They thought this would be a good thing, more like he's 3 years. If he wants to commit suicide, let him go ahead and do so. Yeah. But I think that the main excuse that is being given by the present Ministry of Sports under another person is that maybe one, they were not the ones that committed to that, to supporting him. Secondly, they also claim that he has a case in court against the Ministry of Sports. They want him to go and withdraw that case before anybody can grant him audience. But at the level of self-actualization, I'm all for supporting Bashali. He may be 63. If he goes into the ring and, they knock him out, that's his problem. But he is saying that whether he wins or he loses, he just wants it on record. Yeah.
That he was the oldest.
That he was the oldest man that ever tried to box. And he insists that his feet, suppose he wins.
The thing is
nobody should be denied an opportunity.
The thing is this, of course, you mentioned the case against the ministry, which he actually sued the then minister for $1 billion naira, all right, for all that happened to him when he tried to visit the minister, when he was invited. But according to the minister's office and the minister's secretaries and the rest of them, they say he bashed into the minister's office. But let's see what actually happens. Some people are of the opinion that the way the Nigerian government has actually flung their weight around Anthony Joshua, and understanding that just a decade ago, Anthony Joshua was in Nigeria seeking to actually go to the Olympics, and he was denied the opportunity and the ticket to go to the Olympics. But right now that he's become the toast of the boxing community, everyone wants to associate with him. We've seen time and time again the former governor of Ogun State sending delegations after delegations to go and watch his fight. We've seen the president issue statements congratulating Anthony Joshua for what he has done. They're saying that this man won a cruiserweight title back in 1985, and he was one of the first to have done that out of Africa. why shouldn't they support him? But at the same time, I think the approach which he has taken has been reeking of desperation, and maybe that's why he's not getting the results.
No problem. I mean, our principled position is that nobody should be denied an opportunity.
Yeah.
But, exactly. I mean, if you, Aaron, were to go into the ring with Bashali, who is 63.
He says he has been training for the last 16 years.
So he claims. He says he's fit.
He says he's fit.
So let's give him the opportunity.
And he's even gone on to say that he's been doing that his love life is on point, and that makes him even fitter to actually to even go into the ring and stuff like that.
Don't talk about his love life.
Okay,
the last time somebody was talking about his performance in the bedroom, he ended up losing the election.
Okay,
let's talk about something more serious.
Now let's actually tell you that we announced we brought the news yesterday. Asisat Oshoala won a joint record 4th women's title as the best player in Africa, and that has been garnering a lot of controversy because CAF has actually released the voting list and those who voted. And it has now been found out that most Nigerians on that voting list did not vote for Asisat Oshoala. And everyone has been asking questions that, how is it possible when you know that there is a supposed Cold War between the Anglophones and the Francophones in football, that Nigerians do not even vote for Asisat? As a matter of fact, coaches and captains of other countries were the ones that decided to unanimously pick Asisat as the best player in Africa. Nigerian journalists who were meant to vote, and even some of our coach did not deem it fit to vote Asisat Oshoala as the best player in Africa. And that is sad.
Is this verified?
It's on the CAF website. This was
issued.
No, I'm not going to condemn anybody.
I will.
I will actually.
No, this is not about patriotism. People have the right to make their own choices.
No, it's not about patriotism, but she deserves it. It's on the merits.
No, we have said that. We established that, even before and after. I mean, after all, on this program, we voted for Sadio Mane, as best player. So those people who made their own choice, that's their own choice. But at the end of the day, we had the outcome. Even these persons, apart from Asisat Oshoala, they didn't even name any Nigerian in the best 11 lineup.
Yes.
Okay? And they are sports persons, sports reporters. That's their own choice. We can live with that. What I question is, why is CAF putting this out?
No, they always do. No, that is the modus operandi for most of all these votes, for voting of all these particular awards. Both for FIFA and CAF. Anyway. But it's sad. It's still sad.
It's disgraceful.
No,
Thank you, Aaron.
Those people are entitled to their own choice.